Hello everyone, I'm so glad you could join us in this module of non-synchronous online course. Throughout all the modules, I will present various elements associated with biosecurity to help you think deeply about securing biological materials, equipment and knowledge. Let's begin with the first module. Okay, the first module is on integrated biorisk management. The main aim of this module is to provide an overview on integrated biorisk management. In this module, you will learn spectrum of biological risks and their mitigation measures, various elements of traditional biorisk management system, and how your role is important in keeping yourself, your organization, community, and country safe. In general, biological risk refers to the risk associated with biological materials, infectious pathogens, their derivatives, and toxins. When there is a spillover of pathogens from animals, birds, plants, insects, or soil, we refer it as a natural outbreak. Bear in mind, every outbreak of the disease has a potential to cause epidemic. And if epidemic is not controlled in time, it could lead to global pandemic. For instance, zoonotic diseases. Zoonotic diseases are illnesses that can spread between animals and people. About 75% of all emerging human infectious diseases are originated in animals. The CDC data suggests that zoonotic diseases cause 2.5 billion cases of sickness every year. And globally, 2.7 million people die because of zoonotic diseases every year. This statistics is good enough to convince you that natural outbreaks of diseases or spillover of pathogens should be addressed effectively to reduce biological risks. In the spectrum of biological risks, emerging biological threats is one of the major concerns for the global community. The emerging biological threats are posing a significant risk. For instance, antimicrobial resistance. In short, it is called AMR. Misuse of antibiotics in people, animals, or crops can lead to resistance. You will be surprised to know that more than 700,000 people die due to antimicrobial resistance every year. The United Nations, international agencies, and experts predict that drug-resistant diseases could cause 10 million deaths every year by 2050. On the biological threat landscape, there is a significant risk from biological agents, their derivatives, and toxins. Those are handled in laboratories. We have made an impressive progress in the field of genetic engineering. We can alter the traits of microbes, animals, and plants. However, we should be alert to make sure that technology will not be misused. In the laboratories, we handle the pure cultures of the microorganisms, including most dangerous pathogens, either for the fundamental or applied research purpose. While working in the laboratories, there is always possibility of accidents, negligence, vandalism, and sabotage. Therefore, laboratory biological risk management is essential to protect researchers, communities, and environment. Always bear in mind that while working in laboratories, biological risk will never ever be zero. However, we can always reduce the risk. Pathogenic microorganisms or biological materials can be misused deliberately. Pathogens can be used as bioweapons. I don't want to dampen your enthusiasm. However, by looking at the whole spectrum of the biological risks, we need to recognize that biological risks pose a significant threat to the humanity. Therefore, implementation of the appropriate control measures is essential to minimize the biological risks. Don't forget that biological risk control is vital for our safety, security, and sustainability. Based on coronavirus disease global pandemic experience, if I say effective biological risk management is the foundation for the sustainability at global, regional, national, and local levels, it will not be wrong. Mitigation of the biological risks from natural outbreaks of diseases or pathogens spillover is important. To do so, the public health professionals, government agencies, and stakeholders do continuous surveillance and monitoring of natural outbreaks and emerging threats in order to prevent the disease spreading. Government agencies ensures that regulatory control measures are in place in a laboratory setting to protect laboratorians from unintentional exposure to infectious biological agents, their derivatives, and toxins. We use various techniques and control measures. We call it as biosafety control measures. The biosecurity control measures reduces the risk of loss, theft, deliberate misuse, diversion of unauthorized access, or intentional unauthorized release of biological materials, equipment, and knowledge. Cyber biosecurity may be new to you because cyber biosecurity is a relatively new field. It is an emerging field at the intersection of cybersecurity and biosecurity. Cyber biosecurity control measures are essential to deal with cyber intrusions, information theft, and malicious destruction. Laboratory bios management cover both biosafety and biosecurity. Laboratory biological risk management is the effective management of risks posed by working with infectious agents, their derivatives, and toxins in laboratories. When we holistically look at the entire spectrum of the biological risks and implement the appropriate mitigation measures, is called as integrated biological risk management. Some experts call it as a comprehensive biorisk management approach. Biosafety and biosecurity goes hand in hand. Bear in mind, biosafety and biosecurity have many similarities and common elements. However, biosafety and biosecurity are not identical. I will highlight some examples specific to biosafety. For example, we use personal protective equipment. in the laboratory. We follow good practices and procedures, and we ensure good laboratory practices. In biological laboratories, we use biosafety cabinets to protect researchers from dangerous pathogens. It is an example of biosafety control measure. Another example of biosafety control measure is negative air pressure in the laboratories. Biological laboratories are designed in such a way that we can maintain negative pressure in relation to the surrounding area of the laboratories. It helps to prevent contaminated air and microorganisms from flowing out of laboratories. Laboratory CCTV cameras and surveillance is an example of biosecurity. Security cameras are a valuable tool for laboratory biosecurity, as it helps in safeguarding valuable biological materials, toxins, and equipment. Door locks for biological laboratories is the most common and obvious form of biosecurity. Some other examples of laboratory biosecurity mitigation control measures are implementation of card reader system, provision of password or PIN to open the doors, and fingerprints to verify the identity of the person. Bars on laboratory windows, security alarm system, use of motion sensitive camera, and magnetic locks for the doors are some other examples of biosecurity control measures. If we look at biosafety and biosecurity control measures, you will realize that many elements are common and important for both biosafety and biosecurity. For example, access control, biohazard inventory, disposal of biological waste materials, employees management, and proper shipping procedures. As I mentioned earlier, laboratory biorisk management covers both biosafety and biosecurity. Biosafety risk control measures ensure that laboratories are protected from unintentional exposure to biological agents, toxins, or their accidental release. Biosecurity risk mitigation measures makes sure that infectious biological agents, equipment, knowledge, and toxins are protected against the loss, theft, misuse, diversion of unauthorized access, or intentional unauthorized release. To take the advantage of modern technologies or techniques and technology in our research, development, and commercialization, we are heavily relying on digital data. Digitization is way forward. However, it comes with the risk of the cyber biosecurity. Cyber biosecurity risk control measures ensures that sensitive digital information is protected from theft, misuse, and unauthorized access. As a part of biological risk management, if we don't do biosecurity risk mitigation appropriately, it could result in illicit proliferation of dual-use technologies, which could be misused by revisionist states, their agents, or broadly speaking, proliferators. We can calculate the level of biological risk. Biorisk refers to the risk associated with infectious biological agents, their derivatives, and toxins. In simple terms, biological risk is the product of likelihood and consequences. Here, the likelihood is the probability of non-pleasant events occurrence that affects the environment, and consequences is the environmental impact if an event occurs. To mitigate the biological risks, the risk assessment should be robust. I repeat again, to mitigate the biological risks, the risk assessment should be robust. Based on risk assessment, appropriate control measures can be implemented. Don't forget that risk assessment should be done separately for biosafety, biosecurity, and cyber biosecurity. Based on the robust risk assessment, a suitable control measures or set of control measures can be used to mitigate the biological risks. I'm sure some of you may be familiar with this hierarchy of biorisk mitigation controls. Based on the nature of the risk, you can use the appropriate control measures. It could be elimination, substitution, engineering controls, administrative controls, or use of particular personal protective equipment. From the perspective of this course, you need to think what kind of control measures can be used to safeguard or secure biological materials, equipment, and knowledge. When you are implementing biorisk management system in your organization to mitigate biological risks, you need to have your institutional policies in place. You need to have an institutional biosafety and biosecurity committee, and this committee should have competent members so that they can implement the biological risk management system to keep everybody safe in the laboratories and to protect the biological materials, equipment, and knowledge. While implementing biological risk management system in your organization, you need to ensure that all biological researchers, biological laboratory supporting staff, and stakeholders are trained properly, not only for the biosafety, but also for the biosecurity best practices. In traditional biological risk management system, we don't consider cyber biosecurity risk appropriately. We must integrate cyber biosecurity in our institution's biological risk management system to make it more comprehensive. Biosafety is essential. However, while implementing biological risk management system at your institution or organization, we must give due consideration for safeguarding biological materials, equipment, and knowledge from biosecurity perspective. In this schematic diagram, you can see various elements of traditional biological risk management system. Okay, now we'll see your role in global biosecurity. As a biological researcher and as a stakeholder of the biological supply chain, your role is important for the institutional, national, regional, and international biosecurity. It is very straightforward. If all biological researchers and supporting staff are following biosecurity best practices, then there should not be any issue of biosecurity at institutional level. If all institutions that handle biological materials, equipment, and knowledge following biosecurity best practices, then there should be no issues of biosecurity at national level. And if there are no any issues of biosecurity at national level in all United Nations member states, then there will be no issues of biosecurity at global level. I know it is very ambitious, but it is possible. Please bear in mind that your role is important for biosecurity and in keeping yourself, your organization, family, and country safe. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as a summary, I want to highlight 5 points. Point number 1, integrated biorisk management is essential to strengthen the biosafety, biosecurity, and cyber biosecurity. Point number 2 is all laboratorians and stakeholders should be educated properly to boost integrated biorisk management. Point number 3 is a crosstalk and collaboration among biosafety, biosecurity, cyber biosecurity professionals and stakeholders is essential. My point number 4 is effective integrated biorisk management is essential not only for the safety and security, but also for the global sustainable development. Therefore, my point number 5 is we must identify the biosecurity gaps in our organizations and take the necessary steps to fill in the loopholes to ensure the safety, security, and sustainability. Okay, before I stop, I'm going to give you a small opportunity to share some thoughts with others. This is optional, but I strongly encourage you to think about the importance of integrated biorisk management and share your thoughts through the comment section. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.